You're watching A Million Veteran Millionaires. Change your mindset, change your future. Hello, welcome. My name is Andy Valadez. You're watching A Million Veteran Millionaires, a platform we started about 2 years ago to help veterans scale their companies and to get influential speakers, not necessarily veterans. You don't have to be a veteran to participate in this platform, but in the past, we've had some pretty powerful people lend their voice to it to help, whether they were a veteran or not. We've had recently, let's see here, we've had Oz. Mark Geis was the hero at Benghazi, 13 hours, and now apropos it was to have him as he talked about exit strategy in business because he is a business owner himself. He's a Marine vet. If you've seen the movie, he was the guy that assessed the situation in Benghazi very quickly and did suffer some wounds and survived. And he came and talked about exit strategy. We've had Frank McKinney. He is a real estate entrepreneur daredevil. His dad was an Army vet, and he built, excuse my language, I'm trying to catch up here, built mansions and sold them to go build self-sustaining villages in Haiti. We've also had Akshay Nanavati, a Marine vet, who is now working to traverse the Antarctica. We recently had Machine Gun Preacher and Kathy Bowersox, my co-host, who's not with me today. She has the meritorious day off. And so in business, you have to be spontaneous and adjust. So we're so glad that we are going to kick off this next episode with Mr. Howard Partridge. Welcome, Howard. How are you doing today?
I am phenomenal, of course.
So I've been really excited to get to have you booked on this Zoom call. We've been talking about it for months, Kathy and I. And of course, I've been nurturing the relationship with you. I got to meet you here in Katy at one of the Katy Christian Chambers and didn't know your history. And of course, I kind of feel like some of the people that have mentored you, like John Maxwell and Michael Gerber and Zig Ziglar, it's almost like getting a chance to talk to them as well, because you met these people very early when they were first getting started. And I wish I had met you in 1997 when you figured this all out about scaling and building businesses. So we're going to have a lot to talk about, but we could do a little bio if you don't mind telling the folks that don't know of you a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I was just with Michael Gerber yesterday. We went to lunch. He's speaking at my conference this week. And all three of those men that you mentioned had a profound influence in my life. And so their DNA is pretty much in me. In fact, Michael and I were talking about his work and the continuation of his work. He's 87. And just, there's a lot of people who read books and they don't do anything with it. And I'm an implementer. So I read a book, and if I believe it, which I did, I got this vision that I got to have a turnkey business. And so I started pursuing that. So vision is so important because human beings do what human beings see. But I'm originally from LA, Lower Alabama. And my wife doesn't laugh at my jokes either. So,
well, my wife was actually from Phoenix City, Alabama. I think that's Lower Alabama as well. So I'll tell her I didn't know you were from LA. But go ahead.
Well, my friend is from UCLA, the upper corner of Lower Alabama. Anyway, I grew up on welfare. There were 7 kids crammed in a little 600 square foot shack in Mobile, Alabama. The roof on that house was so bad that every time it rained, we had to get out all the pots and pans to catch the leaks. My mother fed us on $100 a month from the welfare department. And when you grow up in an environment like that, I'm, number 5 of 7 kids. What are you going to turn out like? So I was a rebellious teenager. My real dad left when I was a year old. And my third dad, my stepdad, he and I got in a fight. I got kicked out of the house. I deserved it. I was just a rebellious teenager and had wrecked a couple cars and that sort of thing. And so got kicked out of the house. I was not yet 18 years old. I was 17 years old. And I literally had no money to speak of. I scraped up $39.95 for a Greyhound bus to Houston, Texas, because my real dad, again, that I'd only met twice in my whole life, lived here in Houston. And my sister happened to be here visiting him. When I got here, when I stepped off of that Greyhound bus, I literally had 25 cents in my pocket. And I became a waiter. I worked in all these really nice restaurants here in Houston. Did a lot of tableside cooking back then, steak Diane, bananas Foster, cherries Jubilee. Setting stuff on fire inside at that age was pretty cool, you know. And but I always wanted to have my own business. I just didn't have enough money to start a business. So I thought, and then I met my wife, Denise Conjet Antoinette Pinella. Now that's Italian. She's from New Jersey. I'm from Lower Alabama. This is going to be a good match. In fact, she told me the first time we went up there to meet her parents for me to keep my mouth shut because I had an accent. Well, so we go up to New Jersey to get married into this. I go up to New Jersey to get married in this Italian family. When you get married in an Italian family, you don't get wedding presents, you get cash. And in fact, there's a little purse that's made to match the dress, and the envelopes go in that little purse. And after the wedding, my wife and I took turns reading the notes, open the envelopes, read the notes, counting up the money. That was $3,000 in cash. That was the most money that we had to our name. And there was a friend of the family, same age as me at the time. I was 23, and he was tooling around a little red Mercedes convertible. And I said, I want to know what that guy does, and I want to know if it's legal. Well, it turns out that he had his own business. So as soon as we got back to Houston after our wedding, I spent that entire $3,000 starting my first business out of the trunk of my car. My wife was really thrilled about that, let me tell you. And for the next 13 years, I made good money. I made $100,000 a year net, and I had good service. But I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was a slave to that business. And in 1997, I read a little book called The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber. And I saw that, learned that I needed to build systems in my business. I saw that I could have a turnkey business. Got that business up to a multi-million-dollar business, turnkey. I still own it today. Our anniversary is my 39th anniversary as a business owner is next week, November the 2nd, because when I started the business, it was November the 2nd, 1984. It's hard to say 1984, right? We've been in the 2000s for so long. And so anyway, I still own that business. I got a great team, great systems in place. They run that business for me. And so about 25 years ago, other people wanted to know how I was doing, what I was doing, and I got interested in training. I developed some manuals and started training other small business owners. Before too long, Mr. Zig Ziglar came and spoke at my conference. My company became the exclusive small business coaching company for the Zig Ziglar Corporation. And today we serve 109 different industries in 20 different countries. Obviously, I have a team. We have a system. And so that's what I do today. I write books. I lead conferences. I speak all over the world. And most importantly, we help small business owners stop being a slave to their business so that they can and transform it into a predictable, profitable turnkey operation so that they can have more freedom in their life. And as a result, we've seen not only people change their business, change their culture, have more freedom in their life, but it's had such an impact on their families. And it's restored families, relationships with children. We have a little youth program. I wrote a book for young people. And so what we really have is a small business community of people who study with us and who have engaged their whole business and life with us, and it's making a tremendous difference.
Well, I'm so glad you're on mission. I love the phenomenal concept because in reality, this stuff we should have learned in school. They're not teaching us this, right? So unfortunately, I'm 58. I wish I'd learned this stuff years ago. I'm kind of having my epiphany. Maybe I'm a late bloomer, but I've worked with a lot of businesses and I've helped them to benefit from the value of what we do in marketing and whatnot. But have really wanted to focus on vets. As goes the vets, goes the nation. And we're living in some troubled times now. We're watching the headlines. If the last 3 years haven't been a wake up call, like no other. It's mission critical. I mean, you don't have to be doing this. You could be at your dream house in Destin, the White Sands. I've been there. It's very beautiful with your grandchildren, living your phenomenal life that you built. But you put it upon yourself, and I guess your calling to help others. It's almost like the old story where the person's walking along the beach and he sees thousands of starfish, and he starts chunking them in the ocean, and people go, "Why are you doing that? It's not going to matter." And then he says, "It will to that one," right? So elaborate a little bit more. You got to keep the wife happy, right? When you're running a business, and that's not so easy these days. My wife and I have been together 43 years. We say it's no cakewalk. It's more like a tightrope today. There's so many trials and tribulations coming our way, not just in the marriage, but also the children. And you've got a total program that you call your inner circle. Can you chat? Again, you alluded to it a little bit, but being in that inner circle is really critical.
Yeah, so we, I write books. I have an email list where I'm adding value. I'm speaking. I'm doing things like this where I'm adding value to people at no charge, but people who want to belong to us. I have a coaching program called the Howard Partridge Inner Circle, and in that program, we offer deeper training on leadership, marketing, sales, operations, administration. And we have a group of experts, a group of coaches, a group of other business owners that are on the path. And as I mentioned, it ends up affecting the whole family. In fact, I started this youth program about 4 or 5 years ago, and there's at least one young lady in that group that was considering suicide. She was 12 years old when she got in that program. And so today, not only is she's 14, she's about to publish her first book.
Oh, awesome. At 14. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, Eddie Smith, he's the founder of Worldwide Publishing. He's 82 now, but he's been a mentor to me for many years. I think he's worked with many authors, and
Love
he
Eddie.
said,
Yeah. He's a
"Oh, you
wonderful.
know him, okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah."
I've known him for years. Yeah.
So he was saying that, of course, people aren't reading books like they used to, although with the millennials and Gen Zers, that may be actually increasing. I think the average American, 27%, read about 12 books a year on average, if you will. But he said there's 87% of folks out there that have a book in them, and only 3% actually write one.
Right.
So today, a published book is the equivalent of having a 4-year degree if you put it on your resume, right? It definitely separates. Being a published author at that age is pretty awesome. But I guess that came with some godly influence early through the grandparents, maybe, and the parents.
Well, so what happened was she comes from a very poor family from Uvalde, Texas. And you know what happened in Uvalde, Texas. And you know, what's happened to our young people is this culture, this media culture is just so crazy. The education system is messed up. And so she comes from a poor family that just doesn't have the resources to most kids are not. She goes to a Christian school, so that's all good. Let me get this on do not disturb here. It's on do not disturb. I don't know why that didn't work. Anyway, so the thing is that what kids are not getting today is they're not getting we teach them the Zig Ziglar philosophy, and the Zig Ziglar philosophy of performance is number one, have a positive self-image. Number two, build winning relationships. Number three, understand how to set and achieve goals. And so Mr. Ziglar said that every human being has a negative self-image to one degree or another. We have stinking thinking. We need a checkup from the neck up.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. And
Yeah.
my company, I named it Phenomenal Products, and because I had manual CDs, DVDs, packages, and I was doing some training, but I wasn't doing as much training and coaching. And then I realized that people don't read those books, even adults who buy those books. And so you have to not only teach that book, but you have to coach that book, whatever the content is. And so I realized that in order to really help people, we needed to do training and coaching. And I started to think, well, maybe I made a mistake calling my company Phenomenal Products. And then my mentor, Mr. Bill Beckham, wisest man that I know, he came and spoke at one of my conferences, and he said, "You know, Howard's products are phenomenal." He said, "But I'm here to tell you that you are the phenomenal product." And so, and of course, Mr. Ziglar said that your man is born to win, designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, endowed with the seeds of greatness. After all, God don't make no junk, right? And so every human being needs to understand that they are a phenomenal product, created to be phenomenal, to do phenomenal things, and have a phenomenal life. Because, and so I have what I call the phenomenal talk with people every day. It doesn't matter if they're a stranger, flight attendant, waiter, waitress, whatever, and kids. And I ask them if they know that they're phenomenal. And you get all kinds of weird responses like, well, of course I am. Or, I don't know about that. Or what do you mean? And so I explained to them that every human being is made in the image of God. So every human being is phenomenal. I wrote a book last year called The Monday Morning Christian. And the first part of it is identity. And the challenge is even believers don't understand who they are in Christ. And when we begin to live out of our position rather than our condition is it's hot or cold outside, I'm sick, I got a problem, or, relationship problem, or business is slow, or, whatever is going on out there. But we have to live according to who we are, our position. And if we're believers, then our position is that we're in Christ and we're seated at the right hand of the Father. Now, I don't know if this is a Christian program or not, so I'm sorry if I got.
Oh yeah, we talk about Jesus here.
Talk about Jesus here. Okay, good.
Yeah, we have. So hey, that's
Yeah,
it,
and so the thing is that it starts there with mindset, right? And so then it goes to building winning relationships, because why do people have so many relationship problems today? Because they have a poor self-image. Hurt people hurt people. Positive people who are comfortable in their own skin, they encourage other people. They help each other. And Mr. Ziglar said that you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what it is that they want. And of course, when he was here with us on earth, I used to tell him that he stole that from Jesus, because Jesus said, "Give, it'll be given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." And he said, "Well, I know him personally, so that'll be all right." The fact is that all of business and all of life is about relationships. When we pour into other people's lives, when we love other people, we're going to have more favor. We're going to be able to build a network and build a business. Then we have to set goals. And so we set goals in business and in life. And then we got to learn how the process works. We have to learn, how does a business work? How does leadership work? We have to develop our skills.
well, I love that you have marketing in the top two. I think it is. I think it was Peter Drucker that said that the purpose of a business was to create a customer through marketing and innovation. And so you identified sales and marketing in separate categories because they are totally different.
Yeah.
But you even clarified that why did you start the business, right? What is the real purpose of the business? I'd like for you, because as I'm talking to people, a lot of folks have not figured out. They think it's getting up and going to make money and paying the bills, but there's more to it than that, right?
Yeah. So, the reason, first of all, that I wanted to have a turnkey business is so I could have more free time to go to my favorite place in the world, Destin, Florida. And then I realized that once I started doing coaching and training, I realized that my purpose is to help small business owners experience community. Okay. So I'll tie all this together here in just a second. But I fell in love with. I realized that Michael Gerber taught in one of his books, "Awaken the Entrepreneur Within." He has this program called "In the Dreaming Room," and awakening the entrepreneur from within. He shares that an entrepreneur has a dream, a vision, a purpose, and a mission. And when I went to his dreaming room, as I was spending 3 days reflecting on who am I and what am I trying to accomplish, what's my dream, what's my vision, what's my purpose, what's my mission. It all had to do with community, and the reason is that it starts with self-image, right? And the fact is that people don't reach their biggest dreams and goals because of something I call FTI, failure to implement. And you probably have that book there somewhere.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I already started reading.
Yeah, and so what we find out is that the reason is not that we're overwhelmed. Everybody's overwhelmed. There's all kinds of distractions. There's problems. There's Daniel Goleman said in his book Focus that the real issue is not the distractions out there, it's the internal distractions. Maybe I feel badly because I had an argument with someone. Maybe I had an argument with my wife, or I hurt somebody, or whatever. Somebody said something about me, they lied about me, whatever. There's this internal distraction. And it's been proven. There's a phenomenal book called Coaching for Performance by Sir John Whitmore, I think his name is. Anyway, it talks about the fact that performance, there's this, he wrote about, or he referred to the inner game of golf, the inner game of tennis, the inner game. And the inner game, the equation is that performance is really not necessarily about skill, because you need skill, but it's really about focus, right? It's really about removing the internal interruptions and distractions, which it comes in the way of fear, the way of self-doubt. And so what you find is that people perform, people implement, and then they learn and grow skills because of they're inspired. And they're inspired because they believe. Mr. Ziglar said that the secret ingredient of success is desire. Desire comes from a vision. So people don't have desire because they're not inspired because they don't have a vision. The reason they don't have a vision is because the second that they allowed themselves to dream, they shut it down by unbelief. So when you believe, when you understand who you are and whose you are, now you're going to take the step to build relationships, build systems in your business, and you're going to then learn the things that you need to learn to be able to set those goals, right? But so many young people today and adults, they don't believe. And I don't even like to say believe in themselves, because, there's more to it than that. There's a relationship with God, but they don't believe that they can do something when they can. The fact is that all of us can do more than we think we can do. And that brings me to the other side here, the power of community, that we all need people around us. We need the support, the encouragement, and the accountability of coaches and a team to help us be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, before you got on this call, I made mention that I've been away for 4 days and 3 nights, no phones, no watches. We had 150 volunteers, blessed 23 men, and just the camaraderie and the love and just the leadership and the planning. I mean, we had to plan for this thing for a couple of months. I've been in tears the last couple of days because you can't learn that leadership. You can read about it in books and so forth, but actually doing it and seeing the type of leader that you are capable of becoming, if you will. Jesus wept. He was a man of many sorrows. So I've had friends say, well, he wept because, he brought Lazarus to life. I said, no, he had empathy. He knew that we were dealing with issues that we could, that we probably couldn't resolve on our own. It took a person that came alongside us to help us. Even starting this platform, a friend of mine, challenged me with, Andy, well, write out, what is that someday perfect day that you're struggling, fighting for, what does that look like? So when I scripted it out, what I was wearing that day, what I ate for breakfast, and the message I delivered to my wife, I mean, I teared up. And so as I started to think beyond my wife, I started looking at my children. I started looking at my community, like you just mentioned, those my close circle, my mighty men and women that are in my circle. I said, my zip code, my city, my nation. Then it becomes a lot bigger than ourselves, right? And what I've seen just in myself this last year and others is, we all given the same 24 hours, 7 days a week, and there are people out there that are doing a whole lot more with their 24 hours. And you know, what advice do you have? Is like, I'm already swamped. I'm already busy. What can I do to start making those changes that start to get the traction, that you've helped people to do? I mean, it's the why, the what, but then the how. People don't know, what's the how? How do I do it?
Yeah. Well, so there's being wise with time. There's been wise with learning. There's been wise with a team. I have a friend who says that if you have a dream but no team, you have to give up the dream or build up the team, right? And so most people's biggest dreams and goals, when I say biggest dreams and goals, God may call you to something. God called Moses to something. Well, Moses couldn't do it by himself. And so Jesus had his 12 disciples, then the 70, and then the rest of them. And he said, greater are these things, greater will you do than the things that I do. Why? Because now the Holy Spirit is in millions of people. And so we need a team. We need coaches. We need mentors. We have time and money and energy to use, right? So most people don't use their time wisely, number one. So being able to look at, what's important, what's not important, what's urgent, what's not urgent, and being disciplined with time, being able to get other people to do things for you so that you can leverage your time, building a team. So when it comes to a business, we need systems, both personal systems as well as business systems. We need to become stronger leaders so that we can attract the people that we need to attract to our team. And we need to be able to build and sustain that team. And one of the things that I'm working with my inner circle group right now is developing people to the level, because we teach business owners that if they want to be turnkey, if they want their business to be more predictable, therefore their life's more predictable, more profitable, therefore their life is more profitable, and potentially turnkey, then they need to go through really 5 stages. The first one is survival, right? So we got to have good habits. Number 2 is systems. Systems give us stability. Even if we're working by ourselves, there's a right time and a right way to do something that's most efficient, right? And we gotta figure out what that is and stick to that. But you're still going to be limited, right? So really, you're not successful until you become a leader. John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. The toughest person to lead is ourselves. We need to get other people to do things for us so that we can do the things that we're really good at, right? Every person on planet Earth has their strength. They have their unique personality. They have things that they're good at. They have the things that they're not good at. I need to find people, whether it's a volunteer, whether it's a paid person, whether it's an outsourced person, people to do the things that I'm not good at, that and you want to learn about the things that you're not good at. You want to learn about them, but you don't want to waste your time and money and energy trying to be an expert in everything. You don't want to try to be an expert in things that you're just never going to be good at, right? And that aren't going to leverage your time and your money and your energy, right? So we need a team. And in order to build a team, we need to understand leadership. We need to understand how to build a team.
I was watching one of your videos. You even named your team members by name. So, being so mindful of their contributions, their roles, and recognizing, folks, even in volunteer situations. I know a lot of times volunteers can act like volunteers, but when they're committed to something, they start to really shine, especially as a team starts to come together really well. So I like that you do that. You're all about team. You're all about leadership, recognizing your people, and being blessed. To be a blessing, I guess, is the challenge for us all. Last year, we were talking about people not reading books, but the Lord kind of impressed upon me, I'd buy a book, read a chapter, and put it down because I'm busy. Right. And then he said, consider the ant, you sluggard. I'm like, oh, Lord, I'm working hard. He called me a sluggard, but all that meant was like, consider the ant, so I had my mind's eye of an ant grabbing a grain of sand and moving it over all day long. All of a sudden, the grain starts to stack up. So I applied that principle to just reading 30 minutes a day last year.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, I did an assessment. I read 115 books, the Bible, 66 books. So that was the Bible at 15 minutes and then 30 minutes. And now just love to read. Can't, that movie Circuit, more input. But the key is applying this stuff, right? So putting it into practice. Right. What else do we want to talk about? Made some notes before you came on here.
Good. Yeah.
I love the story about your fundraising. Well, I guess the gifts of cash on your wedding.
Yeah.
I love how you went. You bought the this book. I guess the E-Myth you made reference to, and you got away. You just went away to just study this book, read this book. I mean, how often is it that people just take that time and say, you know what, I've got to make this, mission one right now. I've got to get away. I've got to go do whatever it is, write your book, read a book, do a planning session. And it seems like you create that environment for your team. You get them out of their area and you invite them out to your place to just see the dream in action. That's your dream house, as you mentioned it, I think, your dream getaway. I've seen some of your videos where you're walking the beach, and it is a phenomenal life, that you've created. Do you help people to also map out their phenomenal life? What do they want their life to look like?
Yeah, in fact, I wrote a whole book on this called "Discover Your Phenomenal Dream Life." It's not in print right now, and that's a whole publisher story behind that. I have the PDF, but I have a Destin Dream Retreat once a year in Destin, and the whole story there is that when I grew up, I just remember going to the beach, and I fell in love with the beach at a very early age. Dolphin Island was 45 minutes away. I remember being on that beach and riding the waves with my brothers and all of that. And then when I was in high school, I got out of 12th grade. I got out of school at 12:30, so I could be on the beach by 1:30 in the afternoon, and stayed there until it got dark. Several days a week. I mean, almost every day I'd go out to the beach. Then I started going to Gulf Shores, then Pensacola Beach, and then Fort Walton Beach. And I found Destin, and I said, man, I just fell in love. I thought, well, maybe it gets better a little bit farther down. So I went to Panama City. No. And then the road goes inland. So come back to Destin and found my favorite beach there, and ended up, it's a long story. I tell the story in the book, but ended up, I found this property right next to my favorite beach, 3.5 miles of unspoiled beach. And I just said, I'm going to live here. I don't know how, but I'm going to live here. And so in dreaming, there's the visualization process. There's the perfect day process that you went through. There's a lot of things that go into that. Anyway, I ended up making that happen. And even before I built that house, I do what I call a destined dream day. So my clients can come down and spend a day with me. Now I also have another house there where they can stay for a whole week. So I have this little package. And so I help them, try to think about who they are, what their purpose is, what their vision is, what their mission is, what their dream is. And I go through that sort of dreaming process, kind of like Michael Gerber does, and help them get clarity. Because the fact is that we need coaches, we need mentors, we need people to give us perspective. I remember years ago, I was having problems with my partners and I was pretty overwhelmed. I went to see my mentor and I shared shared all of my woes with him. He sat there for almost a full 60 minutes, didn't say a word, just listened. And finally I got done and he's like, I'm afraid that you're suffering from a poor self-image. I was like, me? I'm like the most confident guy that I know. But it turned out that I didn't want to, I was causing problems. I didn't want to, be on the level with them. Long story, but we need people to, since we all do have a negative self-image to some degree or another, and we're not talking about pride. We're talking about a healthy self-image. We're not talking about arrogance. We need other people to help us see our gifts. And so that's what my mentors did for me. They would help point out my gifts. They would help point out the things that I was good at and what they saw, God doing in my life. I have a client and a colleague who was in a movie directed by Clint Eastwood. She was on Broadway for 19 years. Phenomenal person. She's new in the space of, being an author and a speaker, and although she's like a phenomenal speaker, but I met her through Ziglar, and she doesn't realize how people see her, right? She sees herself. We're all in our own head, right? We know all of our faults. We know all of our negative thoughts. We know everything bad about ourselves, right? So that keeps us from seeing our potential. All the rest of us see her as this big star, which she is. I mean, I've seen very few people. Michael Gerber is one of them that can do this. Maybe one other person. I mean, even Zig Ziglar used notes, okay? But this woman can stand up and do a 90-minute presentation, point by point, word by word, inflection by inflection, without one single note, not a PowerPoint, nothing, and kill it. She's good. And so sometimes we don't, and there's a balance there, a healthy self-image that rejoice in the gifts God's given you. He's given every single person a specific gift, a specific purpose, a specific plan, and it's up to us to find out what that purpose is, but we can't do it alone. We need other people to say, you're a star. I mean, you need to take that stage, own that stage. Let's get rid of that stinking thinking. And we need one another to help get perspective of what reality really is, right? And listen, problems are real. There's heartache, there's people die, people get sick, people get hurt. We have all sorts of things that happen, weather and economy and, pandemic, all these kinds of things. And so the fact is that we have to be confident. And that's why there's a lot of reasons I'm a believer, but that's why I'm grateful that I'm a believer, because I know that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, I can trust in him. Right. And I'm not, you don't want to think too highly of yourself, but you don't want to think too lowly of yourself either, because you have gifts. Right. one of the books I read this year, speaking of books, it came to me almost miraculously, because as a believer, I've often, I'm keeping a list of questions for Jesus when I get there.
Right.
If fills them to me before then, that's great. And one of them I was wrestling with was, why are there so many Christians that really love Jesus that are so dysfunctional and so negative? And over here, you have these people who are like New Agers, the universe, and all this stuff that are positive and they're successful. Now, I know that they don't know Jesus, so they're going to hell, right? But what is the deal? And then my son gave me a little book by Watchman Nee called The Latent Power of the Soul. See, God didn't take, when Adam and Eve sinned, he didn't take their soul. They were separated from him, which means all of us were born spiritually dead, stillborn, spiritually stillborn, but we still have a powerful mind, will, and emotion. We still have the gifts. But when we don't know Christ, we're going to use those gifts, powerful gifts, for the wrong reason. But when we have the love of God in us, and we understand that we can do powerful things, and we can use our mind, will, and emotion led by his spirit, it just gets just amazing, phenomenal.
Well, you're bringing to mind Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Miracle. When I discovered the God Memorandum, I read it the first time and it was incredible. I read it the second time and I started to get it. Then I read it to my wife and I started to cry. I was like, this is incredible, because, we make our decisions, right? And then in the memorandum, he says, then you blame God for the decisions that you make. And then
Right.
he's forgiving enough to say, okay, let's dust you off now. Let me give an inventory of all the things that you have that make you phenomenal. Your eyesight, your hearing. I mean, I had an eye doctor client here recently, and what I saw in the marketing was missing the true value of eyesight.
Yes.
And I asked him, I said, would your patients take $2 million for their eyesight? He goes, no. I go, would they take $10 million for their eyesight? And he asked them, and they said no. And then he even went a bit further with some of his patients. Says, would you trade your hearing for your eyesight? And they said no. I said, so these are your eyes, people. So that is really how critical and how valuable our eyesight is. But how often do we take it for granted?
Right. Right. That's
so,
right.
But I love this conversation, and I guess the purpose of this, when I started this, it was to help other folks out there that are in business or called to business, or they want to go into business. They're maybe in corporate. I was in corporate America for 5 years after graduating from college, but I had the entrepreneur bug even probably when I was a kid. At 8 years old, I built a playhouse for my dad built a playhouse for my sister, and I talked her into cutting a hole on the side, and we played Whataburger that day. And then my dad gets home and he's upset with me for damaging this house he built for my sister. But that was the most wonderful day my sister and I ever had. We were just having fun, becoming customers and selling hamburgers to each other, that kind of thing. Later on, I met my wife at Whataburger in 1981.
How about that?
The legend was that I was taking her order then. I've been taking her orders ever since. But it's been a journey. It's been fun. It's been exciting. It's been an adventure. When I joined the Marine Corps, the drill instructor asked me, why do you want to become a Marine? That question alone, it inspired. Well, I wanted something bigger than myself. I wanted to be in a community and a history and tradition. So there's a lot of people that have something in their heart, something in their mind that God created them to do, right? And unfortunately, suicides are up for pastors, law enforcement, firefighters, veterans, head of households, and children. And so these times were predicted. The Bible says that the Antichrist will wear down the saints. So there's a lot of people struggling with a lot of things. And there is a way out, spiritually, like you mentioned. We've been talking about Jesus Christ as the salvation part, but then the vocation part, what is it that he's calling us as entrepreneurs to do, not just to make money for ourselves per se, is we've got a nation to save. We've got a country to save. We have nations to save, if you will, if you're watching this in a different country. Any last words of parting wisdom,
Yeah,
and of course your
yeah,
contact info and all that?
a lot. So, unfortunately, our country is divided. The political scene is difficult. The education system is horrid. Corporate America is following the woke agenda. And I hate to say it, but our churches are divided. The kingdom is divided. And it's more about religion than relationship. And so small business is sort of the final frontier. It's almost like it's our last hope. So putting together veterans and small business, there's still a tremendous opportunity for people who want to own their own business. Okay. And it's a matter of course desire, right? But we got to have the know-how. We gotta know how a business works, right? I was sharing with one of my clients the other day that business is not emotional. Goals are emotional, dreams are emotional, desires are emotional, but business is. I tell people that your business, the one and only reason your business exists, is to be a vehicle to help you achieve your life goals. A vehicle is not emotional. I mean, if it has gas in it and all the systems are working together, then it'll turn on and you can get in it and it'll take you. You got to steer it, but it'll take you wherever you want to go, right? But so I want to just encourage everybody here that your small business can have a dramatic impact on your personal life, and it can be a good impact. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to be overwhelmed if you have a business. If you don't have a business, one of the best things you can do economically, to make a difference in other people's lives, is start a side business. I franchised my coaching company last year. This is my brand right here, Phenomenal Business Coaching, powered by Zig Ziglar. And so we're offering the opportunity of people to get in the business that we're in. They can do what I do without having to do what I had to do to get here. Right. And so I can't think of a more meaningful business than the business of coaching other business owners and helping them find freedom. So that's what I have to say about that.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this. Again, we say a million veteran millionaires, but in reality, you don't have to be a vet to be a part of this journey, building this community. And so each guest we've had.
I'd like to help some veterans become a millionaire.
There you go. Thank you. We need more help like yours. We started the Houston Veterans Chamber here in Houston a year and a half ago. My friend Kathy Bowersox reached out to me about 2.5 years ago. She saw the work I was doing with the American Legion Marine Corps League. And of course, the Marine Corps League and American Legion, they've been around for 100 years, and they are selfless, dedicated, true warriors. A lot of these guys are trying to figure out how to reach the next generation, and that's Boomer X, Millennials, and Gen Zers. Millennials and Gen Zers now are 52% of the population. So they're the new breed of vets, but they're building careers, they're starting companies, they've got lifestyle, family, all these things. And so when Kathy just wanted to, like Andy, I want to figure out how to help vets, and she wanted to start the business discussion, dialogue, whatnot. We started this group, and out of the 8, Dave Weaver went to start the chamber. So he went to focus on that mission. And so now it's starting to grow. And right now, Houston, I think, is number 1 for where where we're going. The city of Houston has gotten behind it, the Harris County, even the state of Texas. And of course, we know that a lot of people are moving to Texas now. The infrastructure they're preparing for, had a conversation with another company yesterday that's preparing for all the municipal bonds that have been raised to build roads. I say build kingdoms, civilizations, but Texas has definitely set itself apart. But you can be an entrepreneur anywhere, not just in America, right? There's people that have international business, family business, generational business, people that are selling their companies because they built it. Now they can want to go do something else. So there's all kinds of ways to start a business, grow a business. The thing is, I think what we talked about here is the mindset, detecting that calling or detecting that, whatever it is that it's inside of each entrepreneur, right? They'd rather work, 40, 80 hours a week, even more, just so they can be free, to do what they love to do, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it.
So your website is howardpartridge.com.
howardpartridge.com. Opt in, you'll get free business building tips, and then we'll find the place for you.
Well, I'm so glad you live here in Houston. So I'm looking forward to nurturing that relationship and being a part of your inner circle, and then hopefully going out to see the Destin Dream place there. Yeah, that brings back a memory for me. My wife and I were putting each other through college in New Orleans, and we went to Destin Beach expecting to see the beautiful beach, but it rained that day. so we were indoors at the hotel studying for classes when we had thought about being on the beach. So I don't think we've ever been able to make it back since then.
Well, we'll have to do that for sure. Yes. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, God bless you, Howard. Really appreciate you taking the time to be a part of this. We'll archive the video and the audio and then post it on social media, and hopefully, someone will listen to it. And that's that one person that made a difference. I'm really excited that we were able to do that, in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you again. My name is Andy Valdez. You've been watching A Million Veteran Millionaires. Tune in for our next edition every fourth Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time. And you can get the details at amillionveteranmillionaires.com. Thank you.
What would happen if you started or took your business to $1 million, $2 million, or $5 million in annual revenue? What would that mean to you personally, your family, community, and your network? It can happen. A Million Veteran Millionaires is a mindset engineering Zoom call platform created to rally and gather veteran startups or veteran-owned businesses who want to work together to help each other succeed. We will first focus on changing mindsets that keep you back and go through a process called mindset engineering to take steps to achieving success. We will feature other successful business owners who are leading the way, who are supporting this mission. We are limited to 100 attendees initially. The cost is free to attend. If you would like to know more, please visit amillionveteranmillionaires.com. You deserve to have a successful business, and we want to help you. Change your mindset, change your future.
My name is Andy Valdez, founder of Marketing Dynamics. The late Peter Drucker, the father of management theory, believed marketing was critical to your business. He said the purpose of a business is to create a customer through marketing and innovation. Strategic marketing equals immediate success. We offer you speed to market without the speeding tickets. Work smarter, harder, faster. Marketing Dynamics, because the market never stays the same. Please visit teammarketingdynamics.com.
America needs veterans more than ever. As a veteran business owner, you are equipped with a focus, professionalism, and dedication that is rare in the marketplace. We are looking for former military, make it happen business leaders like you to join forces with the marketplace mission called Veterans Business Force National, a division of Network in Action Business Force based in Houston, Texas. We are rallying patriots to work together to grow opportunities for yourself, each other, and our community around the country. We meet once a month via Zoom to share our vision and align with fellow warriors. Together, we are stronger. Google Veterans Business Force National to find us before we find you. Apply to join our mission at networkinaction.com. We are Veterans Business Force National, on mission and locking arms.